Welcome to the Epic Aesthetic. You're watching high intensity training and this is vlog 14. So finally the stars have aligned and I've been able to film the leg routine of my A split, and I'm kicking off with the leg press. 8 to 15 reps, one set to positive failure only with a 4-4 cadence. So one of the interesting technique points here is keeping an exaggerated bend in the knee. I believe that if you fully straighten out the knee, you risk the joint health of that joint, and you risk hyperextension as well if the weight's too heavy and things go against you, especially as you move towards failure. So by keeping a slight bend in the knee, I'm keeping it safe for my knee joint and keeping the load on the quad, and then I lower the weight to quite a deep, pronounced stretch position. But essentially when the quads start to push too heavily on the ribs, it's time to move the weight back up. There's also the danger of crushing your own ribs if you come too deep. But as long as you're not squeezing the air out of your lungs, you should be fine to go quite deep on the leg press. So I'm not doing any warm-ups. I've been doing this for the last few weeks and kind of transitioning out of warm-ups for the last few months. And I don't have any niggles, I don't have any injuries. In fact, my body's probably running the healthiest in terms of joint health that it has in a long time. So I'm not going to tell people, go out there and stop doing warm-ups. If you feel you need a warm-up to prep psychologically and you believe it warms up aging joints and helps you push further and harder, by all means continue to do it. But I feel that it often just wastes time for me, especially when I need to film late at night and have to keep the poor wifey up late to film me. That it doesn't have any benefit, and I don't feel it's really negating any injury concerns. So I'm just going to keep trucking with it, and you'll see in the future whether it was a good idea or not such a good idea. So I try to do a rest pause set here, but as you can see, I just didn't have the strength, and that's pretty common with leg press. It's a very difficult exercise, and being able to turn it around and do another rep after sort of 10 seconds is still very difficult. But the fact that I couldn't do another rep let me know that I did push to full positive failure and really made some inroad. So the second exercise is a leg extension, 8 to 15 reps, one set to failure, and I threw in some rest pause with a 4-2-4 cadence. So really important at the top of each of these strokes to squeeze the leg as hard as you can and really take advantage of that peak contracted position. So that's when the muscle is at its shortest, it's working its hardest, and it's also under full load. So the leg extension is a great machine to work the peak contracted position of the quadricep muscles. This is an exercise I probably see in the gym that a lot of people really cheat on. They really like to sort of just fling their legs out and let the weight come crashing down. And I feel that, that's largely unproductive, and often momentum takes over and you just take a lot of the weight stress off the muscle. As you can see, I'm only lifting, really moderate to light weights. I think it's about 61 kilograms. And it's smooth, it's controlled. You can see from my face, it's not at all enjoyable. It is incredibly intense. The quads are burning, and that's the idea of the exercise. It's not to swing the pad at your ankles from A to B and make the weight stack jump up and down. It's to transfer load to muscular tension, and that's going to create the demand for your body to signal muscle growth. So I threw in this rest pause. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. It's up to you to sort of gauge things. If I'm feeling keen, I'll throw in intensity sets like that. But if you're having a tired week or you press for time, positive failure is often enough for the beginner and intermediate to grow. It's only for those people that are very close to maximizing their natural potential that sort of intensity techniques like rest pause and statics and negatives at the end of a set become absolutely crucial to keeping you progressing. But positive failure is definitely sufficient for most people, especially towards the beginning of their lifting career, to keep the gains coming. So my suggestion is to not get too exotic with intensity add-ons at the end of failure sets, and only use them sparingly in case you push to overtraining or injury. Okay, so hamstring time. So I only did the 2 exercises for the quads, and now I'm doing a hamstring curl. I really like these seated machines. I find you can just sort of lock in. The blood supply kind of flows naturally in this position as compared to, say, a lying ham machine. And you just focus on drawing those legs down under control, and really squeezing at the bottom here, pressing that weight pad right back and getting a nice max contraction on the hamstring muscle. And again, much like the leg extension machine, it allows for the peak contracted position. So the exercise is hardest at this finishing position, and maximum amount of load is being transferred onto the muscle in that position. So by using a 2-second static in this spot, you really help make good inroads into the muscle and stimulate adaptation. So 8 to 15 reps like everything else. And just try and keep your bum and your back firmly planted in the seat. I often have a habit of raising up my body a little bit as I fatigue in the set, and that's something I need to watch, and hopefully you can learn from my mistakes. So as you'll see, as this set progresses, I'll start to kind of sway the body a bit, maybe let the glutes raise up a little bit just to give me a bit more leverage. But you don't want to be doing that too excessively. Just try and plant yourself firmly in the seat and concentrate on using the hamstrings to drive that weight down. So it was a good session tonight. I essentially improved on most of the exercises, which is good, considering I had just come off my fourth 12-hour shift in the mines, and it was midnight, but I made sure I had a nice good feed before I worked out, an hour or two before I worked out, and that gave me the energy to sort of make some progress. If you're not familiar with my dietary habits at the moment, I've been doing the McShredded challenge, which is also available on this YouTube channel. And basically I've been eating McDonald's. I think I'm on day 35 of McDonald's currently as I record this log, and this would have been day 34 when I was training. So I've only been eating 1 meal of McDonald's every night, and still managing to make some progress. It has slowed a little bit, of course, but that's normal on lower calories. So I'm only on sort of 1700, sometimes 1800 calories a day, no cardio, training 1 on 2 off, and just eating Maccas. And I'll have a few salads, but mainly, I'm eating things like double quarter pounders and McFlurries. And my conditioning has actually been improving. So I've lost 4 or 5 kilos, and I'm the leanest I've been, since I was probably an 18 or 19-year-old. So a pretty interesting little experiment. So check out the McShredded challenge on the Epic Aesthetic page, and you might have a few myths and conventions and bro science ideas challenged. So now we've got the seated calf raise machine. My calf development is pretty poor, to be frank, and I'm just working away hard over the years to do the best I can to bring it up. So I'm just alternating week to week between seated calf and standing calf, and I'm always throwing in, some rest, pause, and intensity sets, just because I feel it needs the extra work to improve. Obviously, it's very hard training calves. The kind of work I do often has me pushing off my toes a lot, and working in telehandler baskets and stuff, suspended above the ground, and working in gumboots often as well, because I work in an underground mine, and this really can fatigue my calf muscle. It really overuses them, and my calves have been sore, every day at work. and then you have to sort of come and do a high intensity workout after all that effort. So I think I did improve by a rep, but it has been slow going depending on where my leg training lines up with my work routine. So luckily I'm on a 4-4 roster, so that's even time. So 4 days of work, 4 days of rest, which is quite a great schedule for lifestyle. But if your leg routine comes after 4 days of work, well, they're very fatigued, especially in the calves. But if it's come after 4 days of rest, well, I'll have a really good session on the calves. But you know, you take the good with the bad, and frankly, I'd rather have the salary and the 4 days off than have Dorian Yates calves. Maybe. No, I think I'd have Dorian Yates calves. I take that back. So throwing in a rest pause, 4-2-4 cadence, and really important, I think, with calf exercises to get that squeeze at the top position. That's where the muscle's loaded up really heavy, and you want to just drive inroad into the muscle so that it has a reason to grow. So I guess like most people, I've got stubborn calves, but you know, they have been improving slowly, and I'm just trying to do the best I can. So if anyone's got some great calf tips out there, I am humble and ready to take them. So feel free to drop some ideal routines or things that have worked for you in terms of calf training, and I might schedule it in for my next series of videos. So to finish off, I've got the glute ham raise. I'm not sure if that's the correct name for this exercise, but it's what I've been calling it. But basically, it's like a reverse bridge. So instead of a bridge that works the abs, it's a bridge exercise that works the lower back, the glutes, and the hamstrings. So the main thing here is I use a 2-2-2 cadence, and that's because it's a really small range of motion. So, you know, there's not a whole lot of travel time here, and 4-2-4 would be ridiculously slow. It would be excessive. So as you can see, 2-2-2 allows me to keep momentum still out of the lift, and use some good heavy weight to build the lower back, glutes, and hams with this sort of exercise that kind of spreads that load over that posterior chain. So, but yeah, the main thing is that 2-second hold at the top. If you can't hold it under control for 2 seconds at the top, it's a good sign it's too much weight and it's time to drop it back a little bit. But if you can get that good form, that good 2-second hold at the top of every rep, well, you're working hard, and you're also working relatively safe. The only issue I have with this exercise is I need a partner to lift the weight onto my hips now. The dumbbell gets quite heavy, and when you got to sort of flip it from the ground onto your body, you often risk pinching legs and pinching fingers and things like that. So, you know, having someone there to safely help you get the weight on is a good idea. Alternatively, you could use a barbell and sort of slip underneath it and chuck a towel, I guess, across the hips. So thanks for watching, guys, and make sure you like, share, and subscribe.